Hello and welcome to this fourth edition of the weekly news in English for Eest.com. And let's get right into it. Number one, a poll is out that shows there remains a gap between media coverage of the Biden corruption scandal and public opinion, despite the continued dismissal or downplaying of the scandal by many in the media. A massive 68% of Americans believe that President Biden acted either illegally or unethically in his son's involvement in foreign dealings. The largest group that accounts for a full 36% believes the president has done something illegal. The second largest group thought Biden had done something unethical. On the other hand, under a third of American adults still believe that Biden has done nothing wrong, as he has repeatedly claimed. It appears that 30% have remained supportive of Biden on each issue. Number two, commodity experts now say that oil markets have underestimated the risk of further escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict. The price reaction to the escalation of tensions in the Middle East has so far been modest, but there is now a growing risk that it could escalate into a regional conflict after Lebanon-based Hezbollah warned that it was ready to go to full-scale war in support of Hamas. Indeed, there are fears that Hezbollah may open a new front against Israel at the behest of its leaders and their Iranian backers, while Iran has warned of a preemptive action against Israel if it launches a ground offensive. Some commodity experts are now saying that oil markets have underestimated this risk and oil prices could soar if the above scenario unfolds. Commodity analysts at Standard Chartered have pointed to a decline in Iran's oil exports in the medium term as the most likely consequence of changes in the geopolitical landscape. Back in August, we reported that Iran's oil exports had reached a record high, largely due to Biden administration's decision to look the other way as Tehran ramps up production ostensibly to keep markets well supplied and oil prices low. Number three, Tyson Foods Incorporated bought a stake in ProTix BV, a Dutch-based company that produces insect proteins. The two companies are teaming up to build a manufacturing facility in the U.S. to produce insect-based meal and oil commonly used in fish feed and dog food. Slowly but surely, the World Economic Forum and big corporations seem to be resetting the global food supply chain. The WEF has been very vocal about how the masses need to give up animal meat because cow farts pollute the air and eat insects instead. Number four, the European Union plans to create a fund called the facility that would provide assistance to Ukraine in three pillars. The first pillar would provide Ukraine with financial aid. The second would support and finance investments. And within the third pillar, Brussels would help Ukraine plan reforms needed to join the European Union. The peculiarity of the Ukrainian Facility Fund is that frozen Russian assets are confiscated and included in the aid model. However, supporting Ukraine remains a divisive issue in Brussels. Although the EU wants to continue providing aid to a country at war, it is undeniable that Ukraine has a high level of corruption and the rule of law fell far short of EU standards, even before the outbreak of war. It came up in Strasbourg during Monday's plenary session when the Ukrainian fund was discussed. And in Estonian news, number one, the nonprofit Meie Nursipalu, translated to Our Nursipalu, has sent a proposal to the Environmental Ministry of Estonia to create a national park in the area of southeastern Estonia that has recently been designated as a NATO military exercises zone, and which has caused disruption in the local way of life and has even displaced long-term residents to the area. The proposal suggests that a healthy environment is important strategically and culturally, and that the two aspects are not mutually exclusive of each other. Biodiversity, safe drinking water, and protection of ethno-cultural rights are all on the table. And number two, on Tuesday, October 17th, the Episcopal Council of Estonian Lutheran Church gathered in Tallinn Cathedral and decided that from January 1st, 2024, clergy who have the right to state marriage registration may continue to perform marriages provided that marriage is performed between a man and a woman. After the Estonian Parliament or Riigikogu made marriage gender neutral in June this year, the church government ordered the clergy who have the corresponding right to stop accepting applications from those wishing to enter into state marriage. Quote, "It is important to emphasize that state marriage and church marriage have always been different in content and meaning. The situation that will come into force in Estonia from the new year highlights this difference, even more emphasizing sanctity of church marriage," commented Archbishop Urmas Vilma, end quote. And that concludes last week's news overview. See you next week.